Hope you're having a blessed day. My name is Isaac, and I just love to draw portraits. Been doing it for so long now. Been drawing for, 30 years, I think. A lot of the drawings I did back in the past were pencil and mostly freehand, but I've gotten into doing grid drawing mainly because if I'm doing a project for somebody, I want to do it with more accuracy, right? I'm giving something to somebody. I want to give them the best representation I can possibly do. I've recently moved into pen and also pencil. So, for instance, with this, the grid, I don't look at it as anything more than I've now taken one picture and created 24 little pictures since it's a 4 by 6. Now you can see there's some little black dots in between, and that's where I have visually said that's about the middle of this square. So I can use that to find out what point of the face crosses that line. And as it does that, I can draw the lines that go through it of the face, of the hair, by that. See, I'm marking right now, and I'm showing kind of the points of what part of the hair crosses that area. So that just helps. I would like, if it's possible, like and subscribe. That'd be great. Add comments. Please add comments and tell me what will help. I can hear already listening to this again that the breathing is a little annoying, but that's okay because I'm recording over after I've drawn the picture. I've drawn and tried to talk at the same time, and it's almost too distracting for myself. And I start to ramble even more than I'm doing now. An important thing to think about when you're drawing is what is your goal? So for me, I'm very good with pencil. I'm been getting very, very good at ballpoint pen, so you'll see a lot of that and some of the ink. And I'm going to be doing some dot drawing, but in this case, I want to start doing watercolor because it is an incredibly hard challenge, and I want to do that. So this picture here is just some woman. Don't care about it. I'm not trying to represent some celebrity or something like that. So I'll draw the picture here to demonstrate how to draw with a grid, and then I will try to record the painting. If it doesn't come out, I won't post it, of course, because it's just garbage. So I can learn. I can use these to practice because it's just repetition. Now, some of the things that I've learned over the years is there is obviously a little bit of skill, I think, but it's more a desire to draw. I go through phases where I draw a lot, and then I go through phases where I don't draw at all. So recently I finished a picture that I was working on for probably 10 years. It's huge, like 3 feet by 2 feet. The face itself is 18 inches. It's an Abe Lincoln picture. I was motivated because it was a gift from my dad, who I love very much. But then my grandma on my dad's side was 97, and my grandfather on my mom's side is 101, and they both said, "I would like to see this before we die, before I die." They didn't say we, but each of them said they wanted to. So I had a lot of motivation. I was drawing 3 hours a day for months and months and months. Finally got it done, scanned it in, and it's amazing. You draw that big, go take it scanned in, high resolution now. Cost me $1.50 to scan it, $4 to print the pictures. It's a crazy. It cost so much to ship it, but it was just amazing that you can work so hard, and then for $6 you can get them a copy, a great copy, and it came out wonderfully. So that's one of the highlights of drawing. If you draw something, it's what. Now with this, a grid is very practical for very large pictures. I could take a picture and almost do a one-to-one, and it looked great. Okay, even if I double the size, great. But when you start going really big, it's hard to draw that change in size. Okay, It's always been a challenge to go that much of a scale. And, people that lay out major pictures, I'm sure they do that. They plot it out and then graph it out and do sections, because you can't, especially if you're doing something like, let's say you're doing the Sistine Chapel, right? And you want the characters to be the same. Well, you got a character over on one side, and then 20 feet away you got another one. They're not going to be the same size if you don't plan it out, if you don't map it out. And that's okay. It's basically like architecture. Okay, think of it that way. It's a planned way to make the picture as good as you can. And if I'm going to deliver something to a family member, they're not going to go, by the way, did you draw a grid, or is this like freehand? Because I don't want anything that's drawn by a grid on my wall. They're never going to say that. They're going to be happy with it. Okay? So don't get hung up if it's cheating. Practice freehand, because then when you go and you're traveling or you're just sitting around, you can pick up a magazine and draw. Of course, I'm old enough, before internet really took off, I'd go and get a People magazine and flip through, draw that person, draw the next person. Now I got the iPad. And let me tell you this, one of the great things now is there's a program on the iPad and the iPhone called Grid. And I set it up so it's even. You can do the squares in different shapes, so some are rectangles, but I wanted to make a square. I set it up for 4 on my rows, and then it'll give me as many columns as I need. So I'll go and crop the picture, change the color to black and white, and then I have it on my pad. I find that the mini is a better size because, if you have a bigger picture on a bigger pad, it just distorts it more. So I find that to be a good size. Another thing to remember is some of my pictures in the past, I did a very big picture of Einstein, and I did a very big picture of Lincoln. These are old pictures. You lose a lot of resolution when you try to blow it up. So when I zoom in, it was hard to see it. It didn't look like skin texture. It looked like pixels. And that really will throw you off. So just to be warned about that. One thing that I love about this is, as you can see the way the picture's going, the picture is centered. I'm maximizing the paper. I'm not drawing and losing half or some of the hair. You might be able to draw proportionally correct, but where you start, it might be off center. So if you were to freehand it, you might use a bigger piece of paper, and then you can cut out the borders. But this way, if I want to give something to a friend, and I say, a frame size is 8 by 10, I can get that 8 by 10, and I can draw my grid. Doesn't take that long to draw a little grid, do this out. Then I know how it's going to frame. I know I can plant a border around that. I know how much extra paper I need for the frame to grab onto. So it's just an added tool. So centering and maximizing paper. And it literally doesn't take very long to do it. Now, there's nothing magical that I'm doing here. I'm trying not, I don't want to do any shading, because if I do shading, graphite is hard. You can layer a little bit of graphite on top of itself, but there's a point where you can't put pen on top of it because there's almost a little bit of a waxiness to it. So I try to keep it very, very simple detail and then all the real art, the shading comes in based on where I think these are. And you may be shifting these after you take a look back. In some of this, I've erased some and moved some, and that's part of it. So wire grid, upscaling it, making it larger, accuracy, good for gifts because of your better accuracy. And of course, in freehand, you have more independence to draw. So that's a wonderful thing. Where to find pictures? Well, I go to Pinterest, so I might type in somebody's name, right? A celebrity's name. And then what happens is when you're looking through that, as you're clicking, you might click on Brad Pitt. and then it almost, like everything else, like YouTube, it's almost like an algorithm. All of a sudden, you get more pictures of him, and you get pictures like that. So if you go, you let's just say you get a picture of a woman with a smirk on her face or a wrinkled nose, and you click on that. Well, then all of a sudden you got like 15 of those. Now, one thing I would advise is stay away from pictures that are, how do I say, AI. You can tell if a picture is AI or if it's AI modified. It just doesn't look real, and it's not fun. So anyway, I've really enjoyed that. You can hear my kids in the background there. I really enjoyed finding pictures, and it's funny because I'll find 10 or 15 pictures that I like, and then I'll scroll through later. Go, I don't really feel like drawing that now. I don't want to deal with that kind of shading, or I right now want to try watercolor, and this picture is one that, frankly, I don't mind throwing out. So I'll take this one, and this is one of those. I don't need any pictures like this on my wall. I don't need any celebrity pictures on my wall, but I have some that I really like, and I want to develop a skill of watercolor, and then I'm going to do some very large dot, or I don't know what it's called, but basically dot drawings. I can do some line stuff, but I really want the high detail. I'm a high detail guy. That's what I want. So that's another thing. What is your desire? The paper, I'm using Arches hot press paper, and that's going to give me that smoother watercolor paper, and it's thick, so it's good to take the waters. I have some, and I might butcher it, Derwent paper for, I don't know, I got it strangely on sale at Amazon. It was bizarre. I thought it was watercolor paper. It turns out it is for colored pencils and stuff like that. So that I'll end up using for just general drawing and stuff like that. And then, of course, I also have my, what is this called? Let me look at it. Strathmore Bristol paper. And it's a 300 series. 400 is nicer. 300 is good for practice. I cut it up into small sections about this size. So I try to shoot for 6.5 by 7 or 7 by 8 so that I have a little bit of a border on this. Anyway, as you can see, it's kind of coming along. Now sometimes I'm trying to get the angles right. I'm not really looking how this is coming down, because I can't, when you're crossing through in these squares, you kind of have to go, okay, it's taking a gentle curve this way and back this way. Those are the things you have to look for, the little subtle changes. That's what really makes it. But it's really, the biggest thing is, I think, your features, your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. They need to be accurate, because, if your mouth is off a little bit, that's actually not horrible, because when people smile, their mouth changes a bit. But eyes are very distinguished. Nose doesn't change much, so it's very distinguished. You have to look at certain things, like where, in a straight line down the picture, where do things cross? Is the eye hitting at the corner of the mouth? So you'll occasionally see me, I might take my pencil and bring it from a point and bring it straight down. And I'm not doing that for me, for drawing. I'm doing that to show you, hey, look, I'm looking at this, and I'm bringing it straight down, and you can see that that's where it goes to. And I know I do that coming up with the eye. I don't have a whole lot else to say, otherwise I'll just keep rambling. But, please enjoy the rest of the drawing. Think about what you would like me to talk about. If you wanted to say, oh, how do you do shading with ballpoint pen? I'm going to be doing some ballpoint pen drawings. I'm going to be doing some other ink drawings. I probably won't be doing any graphite pen. I'm kind of burned out on it over all these years of doing it. I just need a break. It can get a lot of detail, but that's just where I'm at now. I can't even stand dealing with it anymore. I don't want to deal with the shading and the 27 pencils. I just want simple, and it's for me. Interesting. This pencil I'm using right here, it is a .3. I used to use a .5. I found this one. It's a nice solid pencil, .3. I did find a .2. I tried it. I don't recommend it. The lead is so fragile, breaks every time, like all the time. One thing is about this one, you see the metal piece at the end where the lead comes out. When you push the clip, that will retract in. I didn't realize it, and I stopped doing that for a while, and I dropped my pencil, and I bent this specific one. So now it's got a kind of a kink in it. I think it sometimes aids in snapping my lead. So be very careful when you're using a pencil like this. I'm going to watch this for a second because just right there, that eye looks off. But I know the end. Let me look at it right here. Yeah. You know what's funny though? Once I start drawing the rest around it, it starts to look right. Now you'll see that I'm going to draw and I'm going to look, and straight down from the curve of that nose, that nostril, that's kind of where this point in the eye comes. You can even see I drew a line there to show that. Just basically to demonstrate kind of what I'm looking at. So as I'm drawing this some more, it's getting more balanced. And you know what's funny? I'm looking at the final picture. The eyebrow really helps bring the eye over. And you'll see that coming up. So look for that there. I'm excited to do the painting part. What I like to do actually now is I'll go with Micron pens first. And I go and hit all my blacks with a .05 or .005. That's going to give me very crisp, sharp, skinny, small lines. So I can get eyelashes, I can get that. I'm not going to do that in watercolor because I'm just going to try to get a nice looking picture where I've got solid black. I want that. Okay? I'm not here to have a picture painted or hang up on a wall. It's just for me, and art should be just for you. Unless you're trying to be a professional, then you turn into a point where you have to produce for somebody else, and that kind of can take away some of the joy of it. So I went through phases where I didn't draw for 6-7 months, and now I went on vacation with my family for 2 days. I'm like, I gotta draw. This is horrible. I made a little field notebook so that I could draw. But let me make a statement here. And I think you should get into drawing with a grid. But what I recommend also doing is going and paying a little bit of money. It's like $14. Buy yourself some field notebooks. Okay. I make my own notebooks, same size. They're 5.5 by 3.5. I make them, I sew them. I have a sewing machine at work because I work in making artificial limbs and braces. So I have an industrial sewing machine, but you can staple it. And I buy cotton paper, some nice cotton paper for that. And then I used to print a grid on there, but I found it was a little off, so it throws my picture off. So I just draw my grid now, which is a little time consuming. But if you go with field notes, right, buy them, you can specifically look for dot. And I would recommend dot. You can find grid, but dot's going to be better. Then you just take your ruler, draw straight lines, or a straight edge. Get an index card. It doesn't matter. Get something with straight, draw your lines, and then you've got your grid. You count 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes over, line. 1, 2, 3, 4 boxes over, line. Figure out your grid. You might do a 2 by whatever, or you might buy 3. So once you figure out what grid you're going to make or use, then you can lay that out on your paper. You know, I if I know it's I try to do, by the way, I try to do in metric, and make sure you keep it whole numbers, right? So let's say I have a picture. If I draw my grid out, it's going to be 2 centimeters, or it's going to be 3 centimeters, or 4 centimeters, because I want the step, I want it to be solid like that. Because if you ever go back, you can zoom in on your pad and then take a screenshot. So zoom in, take your ruler, measure it, and then let's just say you've blown up your graph to 3 centimeters. You can blow up you can zoom in to 3 centimeters, take a screenshot, and then you can measure, and then you can check for accuracy if you want to. If you're really going for it, you can measure across that grid. Try not to touch your screen because it moves around. But once you have that, you can kind of lock that in, which is a nice thing to do. You just take a screenshot of that one, verify it, blow it up till it's the right size, screenshot, then you're good. That should make sense to most people that are going to use technology to draw. The only form of, in my opinion, of cheating and drawing is if you were to trace it. That's cheating. That's not drawing. Okay, but this is just another technique. You have Loomis, I guess. I've never done that. Don't plan on it. That's a technique. I don't see how that even works, because some people have longer noses, eyes spread out, you know, squinty eyes. I've got squinty eyes. Some people have a big forehead. It seems gimmicky to me. I think it's like some people do it and say how great it is, but you know, it's a lot of freehand too. So give them credit with that. But anyway, this is I just enjoy it. It's relaxing. I don't have to think about it as much. I know where it's going to end up. I know it's planned. So I've got a number of really cool pictures coming up. I'm going to do Messi, Leo Messi, and that'll be really cool. I'm going to do that for my son. It's funny. He's, to go on a random tangent here, he played soccer at 6. His brother was 8. He played soccer. They both played. They're, whatever, never played, so they're not going to be good. Said, I don't want to play again. Now this year at 8, he says, he comes home, his kids at school are playing soccer. Now he wants to play soccer. And now he's telling me, Ronaldo's the best. Ronaldo's the best. I said, well, Messi's really good. I don't like his style, but he's considered by some to be better. And he debated with me. You can debate with an 8-year-old. It's very fun. And then I brought up a YouTube video, and it shows how many trophies. He goes, wow, he's got more trophies. He's better. I said, well, what if he's played on a better team and he's just not good? And Ronaldo's played on a worse team. He says, I don't understand it though, Dad. Ronaldo's 41 and Messi's like 38. How is he better? He's older. He should be better. So it's very funny how he thinks just because of the age, you've got to be better because you're older. I said, well, Jacob, I'm 47. So am I better than Messi? Am I better than Ronaldo? He goes, no. I said, so age doesn't really matter, does it? So it's very funny. And the little fun lessons to teach and all that. Anyway, it's been a treat talking with you. Hope you've enjoyed something. Leave some information on what you want me to draw, if you have any ideas. I'll probably just ramble on like this, whatever's going on. But anyway, it's just enjoyable. I enjoy drawing, and I think you shouldn't be sitting here drawing and recording stuff, and if you're not actually just enjoying it. I greatly enjoy it, and I'm glad to share it with you.